Thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, where we talk the latest news, rumors, and games of the NFL and college football, from this latest signings to this year's breakout stars, and all of the news in between. As always, I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Alex.
What's up, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Yeah, doing good.
How was your holiday weekend?
It was alright.
Yeah?
You know, I kind of went out during the night.
Bird of the Midnight Oil?
On Sunday.
Okay.
And, my back kind of hurts from that.
Oh, getting old, huh?
Yeah, I'm getting old, man. Dude, I was out, like, past midnight, and I was getting really tired. And I was like, man, all I could think about was, like, man, I really want to go to sleep right now. Man, is that bad? Am I getting old? Like,
no, I like to go to sleep.
Yeah,
I like sleep. I mean, I don't have a huge issue. Like, you and I get here early in the morning. I don't have a huge issue. Like, I went to sleep like at 1 last night, I think. I didn't get, like, I'm not super tired or anything like that. So I do better now getting up early with less sleep. But I am a person who enjoys a lot of sleep.
Oh, I love sleeping. It is the greatest hobby of all time.
Yeah.
It's not really a hobby, but, I consider it a hobby. Yeah. I love doing it.
On a list of extracurricular activities, one of mine would be sleeping.
Yeah. It brings me a lot of leisure, as you say. Leisure.
Yeah. Sleep is something I like a lot.
No, man. I went to a kind of like a bar, and it's kind of like a club at the same time. It's kind of like a lounge, and
that's cool.
There's music playing. There's a lot of good music. I was dancing.
Okay.
I think that's why my back is hurting.
Okay,
It's not hurting me like
probably.
hurt like in pain, but it's like it just bothers me. Like I think I might have slept there, but anyway, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Talking about your back pain. We have some nice news for you today. We talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick a little bit later on. Talk about Demarco Murray, if he can reclaim that status as one of the elite rushers in the league. But we're going to start with some injury comeback player news for a couple different players. So go ahead and start that with Jordy Nelson.
Jordy Nelson, he was back on the field during the Packers OTAs.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was mostly limited to stretching and running routes. Routes on air, against grass.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, independently. Yeah, man, I'm real excited for him to come back. He's going to have that's going to impact Green Bay this year, especially with all the problems they had. I wouldn't say problems that they had, but like the players that they had.
The lack of depth of the receiving position.
Impact, because they didn't have a lot from Ty Montgomery. Devontae Adams, he didn't have a.
He was hurt a lot.
Yeah, he played hurt. Randall Cobb played hurt. They had a great year from James Jones.
Yeah, James Jones had a great year. I'm kind of sad they didn't re-sign him, but they said they wanted to go younger with their receiving core, even though they're bringing back Jordy Nelson, who's not exactly a spring chicken, but I think he's not old either. Just I don't know. I thought he had a good year enough to come back, James Jones. So
yeah, man.
Disappointing.
What do you think it means for the Packers to have Jordy back?
Oh, everything, man. Jordy Nelson's the best receiver on that team around, just because Cobb does so much, in my opinion. I think just purely receiver, I think Nelson is up there as one of the real good ones in the game. I think when he's on the field, their offense is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
I think just the cohesiveness and kind of understanding that him and Rodgers have together, I think their rhythm is up there between quarterback receiver in the league. Excuse me, we got a yawn going as we talk about not being tired. I think they're two guys that they're at the top, up there with guys, the quarterback and receiver rapport.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's big to have him back for their offense for sure.
Yeah, I think that Jordy Nelson is focusing on is fine-tuning his routes and redeveloping that chemistry he had with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And, when these two are
these guys are on, man.
They're on. They're on it, on fire.
Yeah, they're the type of guys that can do without even like trying. They make it look easy where they can do those back shoulder, touchdown passes just on the sideline where he runs something like a streak and then just at 10 right at the goal line he hits back and comes back to like the sideline, but it's not even a comeback route. It's just he opens his hips and Rodgers hits him. With how accurate Rodgers is, it's crazy that like their understanding of where the ball is going to be and where he's going to be, and like understanding of each other is crazy. It's just great. It's really it's fun for me as somebody who likes the quarterback position to watch a tandem like Rodgers and Nelson. You know?
Yeah. Like it's huge to have Jordy Nelson back. To me, I think he's a top 5 receiver in the game.
When he's healthy, I think he's definitely right 5, there. Yeah. He's definitely on the brink for me. Yeah, 100%. I think
I have him at. I think he's like number 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, with it's different because you have receivers like Odell Beckham Jr. and Dez and Antonio Brown who are game-changing receivers.
Yeah,
and then Jordy's a game-changing receiver, but he's also like, besides getting hurt last year, he's the definition of a consistent receiver, you know?
Yeah, he performs every game.
Exactly, yeah. And he's not going to always have over 100 yards, but he's going to have those tough yards. He's going to have those conversion yards. You know, he's always there for Rodgers, and that, I mean, he's really valuable to that team. You saw the kind of, I mean, even though they still had a great year last year, you saw that kind of offensive drop-off when Nelson got hurt. I mean, and then, believe me, as a Steeler fan, that's the same game that Pouncey got hurt. So I know what it's like to have players go down so early in the year that are integral to your offense and your team, you know, and losing a center that's a starter like that, same kind of, you know, it kind of sets you back. Rushing game, whatever, you know, kind of deal. They're lucky that happened then for both teams because they had the, you know, the extra time to try to find something that would work in the meantime for the Packers being receivers that can fill that spot, and nothing really seemed to work like Jordy Nelson, and that's a really hard spot to, you know, it's hard to replace a guy like Nelson. I think it's going to be great for them to have him back.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great. I was so sad when I saw him tore his ACL, dude.
Oh, yeah. And it was totally non-contact.
I hate seeing players get hurt, especially good players that are fun to watch like Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, it's just a little worse. And that's guys you like. You know, it's bad to see anybody get hurt, but guys you like, you know, you're out there, you know, you like to see play. Your guys you have on your fantasy team, things like that. It's always it sucks to see. But actually, another team, too, with a receiver that people thought when he went down that they would lose almost all their offense, and it was almost kind of the opposite, is their offense didn't really go anywhere. As the Packers kind of did have that draw. Was with the Panthers' Kelvin Benjamin. He's back this year, coming off of also an ACL?
Yeah, ACL injury from, I believe it was training camp?
Yeah.
In August, last August. Yeah, he practiced for the first time last week, which I think is huge for that offense that performed so well last year. They had
without a true number one receiver.
Exactly. Oh man, imagine if Kelvin Benjamin was on that Super Bowl team.
I mean, think about his rookie year. You know, he had the long route catches. He had the short stuff, the intermediate stuff. He would go across the middle. He was an all-around receiver for Cam Newton to finally have somebody like that after Steve Smith left. You know, and it was only a year separated, but when it was Steve Smith, it was only Steve Smith, you know. And it's crazy, too, that they get Kelvin Benjamin back, and it's still such a high-powered offense with Cam and with Jonathan Stewart and Fozzie Whitaker and Tolbert and all these guys in the backfield, and then not really big-name receivers, you know. Cotchery's still there, I believe. Ted Ginn Jr., hopefully.
He had a great year.
Yeah, had a great year despite all those back-breaking drops he had near the end of the year, you know, throughout the season, kind of. So it's definitely interesting to see like the rich get richer kind of thing, you know, getting Benjamin back. Yeah,
like you said, they didn't have a true number one receiver.
Honestly, their number one receiver was Greg Olsen.
Yeah,
in a sense,
which is something I was going to point out. It kind of brings Greg Olsen, Benjamin back together, two big bodies in the end zone, you know, red zone targets, and Devin Funchess.
Yeah,
he
had a quietly good end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Like if he can improve upon that and continue what he did last season. I don't see how they cannot be an elite passing attack. Like they were last year.
I mean, whenever you have a team that uses their running game like the Panthers, it always really opens up the passing game, and I think that was a big benefit for the passing game this past year. And then you get another piece like Benjamin, who you said to take some pressure off of Olsen, who even had double coverage as a tight end sometime last year, and still put up monster numbers. And then Funchess, hopefully producing at a more consistent level again this year. And then guys like Ted Ginn, who can stretch the field, and Cotchery, who's a reliable pass catcher when you need him to be, in around the red zone in those tight third downs. And I think, I think this is just going to even add to the offense,
Yeah, and not only that, they have a good defense backing them up as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make it back to the Super Bowl with the type of offense that they have.
Yeah, I think that they're definitely, with the defense and the offense they have, I think they're definitely around the top teams in the league. But that's it for injury news. We're going to get on to DeMarco Murray here in a minute. DeMarco Murray here in a minute. We're going to take a quick break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, and we will be right back.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. Yeah, moving on to the AFC. Talking about new Tennessee Titans running back DeMarco Murray. Yeah, do you see him becoming that all-pro, a Pro Bowl running back that he was with Dallas 2 years ago?
I think he has an opportunity, but the Titans really don't have the greatest O-line.
Yeah, it's
right now.
Different.
And it's tricky too because I still don't know if that's going to be his type of running style. It is more through the tackles. It's more vertical and not horizontal, side to side kind of stuff. But if they're smart, they'll use the fact that Mariota's also a runner to deter guys kind of stacking the box against the run against such a middle-of-the-pack offensive line. But then again, that didn't work with the Eagles either with that kind of option stuff that they still ran with Bradford, So I think it's really going to depend on how they use him. If anybody saw him play last year, they understand that was not the right scheme for him. He's not a side-to-side. He's up the field. He's end zone to end zone. He's not sideline to sideline. He needs to be going up the field.
Yeah, he wasn't used properly last year at Philly, and they had Ryan Matthews there too.
Yeah, and funny enough, Sproles, who probably is the most fit for that type of running scheme, even though Matthews did pretty well.
Yeah, he did really well, Ryan Matthews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think honestly they were set with him, and they didn't need to go spend that money.
Yeah, I think
DeMarco Murray.
I think Ryan Matthews performed so much better than DeMarco Murray last year.
He was more well fit for that offense.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. We were talking about not being tired this whole episode. I'm
yawning.
Yeah,
sleep
yeah,
is
man,
good.
Sleep. But I don't know. It's going to be tough for him to return to an elite status with so many questions on the offensive side of that ball. And so many questions for a team like that, too. I mean, that did have the number 1 overall pick this year. That traded, of course. But they did draft a couple offensive linemen. I think this draft, with their first overall pick, they drafted
Jack Conklin.
Yeah, Conklin. And then last year they drafted, or the year before that, they drafted an offensive lineman also. They need to start keeping Mariota healthy because they go as he goes as of right now. He is the leader of the offense, even if, who knows how good he's going to be. As of right now, he is the guy they need to keep healthy because it runs through them. We saw, even though Matt Berger's no longer on the team, we saw how the team looked when Mariota was not starting. So,
yeah, remember the first game of Mariota's career? He was lights out, man.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He had one of the best starts of a quarterback's first start ever, regardless of rookie or not, He had a killer start, and he had a good year. He really did have an underrated year. He had that 90-something yard rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
That was killer. It's just really I can't stay healthy, which is it was a huge problem. That's a disappointment, with getting injured and such. But I think if he stays healthy, we'll have to see how the running game goes because I just don't know if that often. I mean, it's hard to match the production you had behind probably the best offensive line in the league. So I don't know if he can match that potential, or not potential, but that output again.
Yeah, I don't think he can match that potential because think about running backs is, you hit a certain peak at a certain time. And
True.
I'm not really sure if he's at the end of his peak, but he's coming close to the end. Cause
he's not exactly old.
He's not old, but, even like running backs, they don't last very long in this league.
No, yeah, and it's definitely how they are handled, with what team and their workload and such. I think it will definitely help that they have Derrick Henry now. He's only 28 years old though, so
he has a couple. He's two or 3 years left. If
you look at it at the whole, you reach 30 and they're no good anymore, kind of deal like that. Then
there's like
he's almost there.
Yeah, I think like around the late 20s, those were when running backs start to wear down a little bit. Well, yeah, unless you're Adrian Peterson, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely a good thing that Derrick Henry's there. To take some of the work for both of them.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because he's going to be used mostly in short yardage situations and goal line situations.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Derrick Henry could probably amass or get to the top of the depth chart as a running back.
You think if he doesn't produce
he
right
could,
away,
if
DeMarco?
DeMarco Murray could, if he doesn't produce, man, you're sleeping, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but if DeMarco Murray doesn't like produce like right away, they're gonna put Derrick Henry in there. They're gonna give him a shot,
at least to see if he can change. the pace
exactly.
up,
Especially in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to see what you have, and it won't be right away, but I could definitely see that moving towards that way, and as the season goes, because he is a rookie, you have to work him into the mix. So I could see that happening, maybe not right away, but maybe halfway through the year kind of deal. Really having him step in and be maybe more of the handoff taker for more handoffs and more rushing attempts than DeMarco. And it really depends. DeMarco didn't stay healthy all of last year either. He had hamstring issues. So I, as of right now, say I don't think this year DeMarco is going to return to that form because, for one, that was the best running back in the game that year. He was number one.
Yeah.
He finished the year leading. 2 years ago with Dallas, he finished the year number one in rushing. And then I think he's going to be. I think he'll be better than he was with the Eagles.
Oh yeah. Dude, when he was with the Eagles,
but I don't think he's going to be great.
When he was with the Eagles last year, he averaged 3.6 yards a carry and 46.8 yards a game. Those are like
abysmal.
They're abysmal numbers, way below his previous career lows.
Yeah, he started the year off.
Way below his.
Like he had he had like negative yards for a while.
Yeah, it didn't take him like
2 or 3 games.
2 or 3 games to get a yard.
To get out of negative yardage.
I was like.
It was. I'm not gonna
lie. I was kind of shocked, man.
You go ahead. I'm gonna pull up his stat line from that game.
But yeah, like I just said, those are well below his previous career lows in both categories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like by far, and like because I was looking at his stats earlier, and I was like, wow, I was like, wow, the situation, not the situation, but the scheme, the system. Yeah, it wasn't a great fit.
Oh, no,
yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah, you can tell by the numbers. Like, you watch the games, look at numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't a great fit for that team. I'm not going to lie. When he signed with the Eagles after Ryan Matthews did, right? Or did Ryan Matthews sign after Murray? I don't remember how that
I want to say Ryan Matthews signed first.
Did he sign first? And then I think DeMarco Murray didn't really want to go that first, but he ended up signing anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have his games from last year. I'll just lay this out for you. So the year. Okay. Game 1, 8 attempts, 9 yards with a touchdown. 13 attempts, 2 yards. Week 2. Didn't play week 3. Week 4 was his best so far. 8 rushes for 36. And then 20 for 83. And then he finally had a 100-yard game against the Giants for 112 yards and 1 touchdown. And then he was kind of, again, middle of the pack. His last 3 games, he had 2 rushes for 3 yards, 5 for 27, and 12 for 69 for a total of 193 rushes for 702 yards and 6. His longest rush was 54, which he didn't get until the last game of the year.
Yeah, I think it was the last game.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. He only had one game of over 100.
The entire year after you had a guy who had it's like he was going to break the record for like stretches of 100-yard games in a row.
Yeah, that was
he failed to get double-digit rushing yards his first 2 games of the year. He averaged 1.1 and 0.2. He averaged 3.6 as a season whole. So clearly there's some issues with that scheme overall. But we're going to go ahead and take a break here, our last break of the day, the Golden State Media Concept Football Podcast, and we will be right back with some news on quarterbacks.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. Thank you for sticking with us. Our last bit of news today, after finishing off with some Demarco Murray news there, didn't mean to be so abrupt there, but we had some cool information shared with us there on the break that we will share with you at the end of this episode. But we're going to talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Some news actually came out this week about the details surrounding his deal. It was rumored that there was only getting offered about a 3-year, $8 million a year kind of deal getting thrown at him. According to Ian Rappaport, Friday that in March, the Jets offered Fitzpatrick a 3-year deal that included $12 million in the first season, according to a source with knowledge on the situation. Interesting that he's still not accepting that kind of deal. $12 million would keep Fitzpatrick near the bottom of the kind of totem pole of veteran starting quarterbacks, but I don't think he's going to get any more money than that. I think the one thing he lacks is leverage, and I think the Jets are going to be offering him the most competitive salary because there's not so many teams he's going to be able to go and start for. So he expressed an upbeat attitude apparently earlier this week about the possibility of getting a deal done. Obviously, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, Nick Mangold, all these veterans on their team have wanted him back pretty heavily, saying that they want him back and want them to be the quarterback. I don't think he's going to find another deal that beats that. I don't think there's going to be a team out there that offers him a more competitive deal with more money. I think this is, as of so far, the best he's getting. What do you think, Jeremiah?
I think it's a win-win on both sides. You know, Fitzpatrick, he gets a reasonable deal, and the Jets get their quarterback back.
Yeah,
who played a huge season last year.
Yeah, he had a great year for them last year. I don't have his stat line in front of me, but it's definitely something I can go and find. But I agree. I think that he needs to sign. I think he had a great year with them, and I think that if he's smart, he'll keep up with what was, a good trend of playing on a team with a good defense, with good playmakers on the outside, a pretty decent running game. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the same kind of game with Ivory no longer there, but I think he had a very good year. I do have his stats here. He had 31 touchdowns to 15 interceptions, about 95 yards short of 4,000 there with 39.05, and then he finished the year with a rating of 88 even. He had very few games where he was losing them games,
Well, whenever he was on the game, they never when they lost, they never actually lost. They were always in the game.
Yeah.
I think the one game when they lost more than by 10 was against the Oakland Raiders. I think that was the game he got hurt, and then Geno Smith came into play. And
yeah, they lost by 14 in that game.
Yeah.
They beat Cleveland 31-10, and then 20-7 the next week. They lost by only a touchdown to Philly. They won by 13 points against Miami. They lost by 7 to New England. They lost by more than 10, you're right, to Oakland. They lost by just under 5. And they lost by 5 to Buffalo. And by 1 touchdown to Houston. Win. And they lost by 5 again to end the year. They just barely missed the playoffs against Buffalo. So you're right. They only lost by more than 10 points once, 14 being the most they lost by. Other than that, the next closest was 7. So they were in every game. You were right. They played. And the worst quarterback rating he had all year was that loss against Buffalo. It was 42.7. Other than that,
was that the first game or the last game?
No, the last game.
The last game.
The first time they played Buffalo, he had also was pretty low, but it's 57.6. He was 15 for 34, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. took a couple sacks in that game. 1 sack, actually, to be specific. He wasn't sacked much this year either. Only 19 sacks.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. Yeah, compared to teams he's been on before, pretty low. And to add too, he actually had 270 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and he only lost 2 of the 5 fumbles he had. So he had a very productive year for a team that, like we said in numerous shows, have just narrowly missed a playoff berth there if they would have been able to win against Buffalo. And he played all 16 games. He didn't really, like we said, didn't lose them many games. I think it is in his best interest as well as the team's best interest for him to come back. What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, it's a win-win on both sides. Not only that, Eric Decker, Brandon Marshall, they get their guy back. I think they skipped OTAs because he wasn't there. They wanted him back that badly. I think that from numerous reports, that's what it said.
I forget if they skipped because of him.
But that's why I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure if it was because, but they said it was playing a factor.
Okay.
Of them missing it, because they didn't have their guy there. Because these 2 guys had such a huge year also. I think we talked about in the previous episode. They were the first Jets duo to amass 1,000 yards. I think since '98. I think that's what we said since '98 when Keyshawn Johnson and Wayne Corbett, when those 2 did it back then.
Yeah, because I talked about Wayne Corbett for a while.
Yeah, you talked about Corbett, how they kind of hated each other, but yeah, it's huge for everyone at offense. They're a better team with him on the field, because I remember when he got hurt against the Raiders when Geno Smith came into the game. The offense looked horrible.
Yeah,
they were just they were so different, and you need these guys to be serviceable. He's not going to get he's not much of a fantasy guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's not going to get those fantasy stats.
He had a decent year last year.
Yeah, he's not going to get like 40 touchdowns. He's serviceable, and if you have that guy on a potential playoff team like the Jets do have, they have a talented roster all around the board. Yeah, all around the board. If you have a serviceable quarterback, I can see them making the playoffs next year. I think we had him on our Cinderella teams, actually.
Yeah, I had Jets on mine. And yes, you are correct. Brandon Marshall had finished the year with 109 receiving yards, 1,502 yards, and 14 touchdowns. And then not far behind him, yardage-wise, yes, but touchdown-wise and receptions was actually a little low. But then again, I think he missed a little bit of time. Eric Decker had 80 receptions, 1,027, and 12 touchdowns. Yeah, I think he missed a few games, I do believe. Good year for him, He missed 1 game. He didn't miss any games.
Oh, really?
He might not have finished games, but he didn't miss many. Yeah, it doesn't look like he missed any games.
I think he missed week 3. I think that was the only game he missed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. Yes, he failed to register a stat. Thank you. I narrowly missed that. So week 3. But it looks like he registered a stat in every other week. So if anything, maybe, it's still significant. It looked like even then, still the number one guy a little bit there was Brandon Marshall, and rightfully so. He is a very good receiver. But it was close to Decker's best year of his career, minus the record-breaking Denver Broncos 2013 offense, and it was Marshall's best year since 2012 with the Bears.
Yeah, he was a couple of yards short from a career high.
Yeah, his career high was 1508.
Career high in touchdowns.
Yeah, high in touchdowns. Yeah, he had 14 this year. The highest behind that was 12 in the same year, 13, that he had the record high. I'm sorry, the year after he had his record high in yardage, and he had 11 that year in 12. So, excuse me, obviously he had a few drop. He's had 1,000 yards in 9 of his last, since 08, 07 actually. Every year but 14. He only had 721, but he got hurt. He got hurt that year. Yeah. And funny enough too, since 2013, his last 2 years with the Bears and last year with the Jets were the only 3 years in his career he didn't register a rush attempt. He had 7 rush attempts with the Broncos in 2009. But let's not get too far away from this. This is about Fitzpatrick. And I actually do want to also take a look at, now while you give us some more solid information and in-depth analysis there, Jeremiah, I want to look at also Fitzpatrick's career highs compared to last year's stats as well, because I do believe that a lot of those were career high.
I think the touchdowns were career high, and I'm not quite sure on the top of my head that the yards were career high.
Let's see.
I'm not sure about the completion percentage also.
Oh, his completions percentage is...
No, it was 59.
No, the year before that was his career high at 63.1, but it was, in fact, a career high in touchdowns for the first year since 2011 with the Buffalo Bills at 3,832. And then, yes, by far 7 more than his last total high of 24 with his last 2 years with Buffalo. Touchdown percentage. I'm sorry, percentage, but number. And it was actually not a bad year for picks. He averages around kind of 13 a year anyway, his lowest being 9 with the Bengals. But he only played 13 games.
Yeah, he was a backup that year. Yeah.
And his total high was 23. It was his second to last year with the Bills.
Yeah, I think that was the year when they had like that fast start, and then they kind of slowed down.
But I mean, that was that same year. But like we said, career high in touchdowns, career high in yardage, and career low in sacks. 19. His lowest before that was 21, and he had that a couple times, 3 different times.
Yeah, he got sacked 38 times in Cincinnati. Wow.
And by 1 yard, he had his best year rushing. 2010, he had 260. Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. No. He had 304 in Cincinnati. Wow.
Wow.
He did some business.
Yeah,
I mean, he lost 11 fumbles, though, and I assume that's attributed by his 38 sacks.
Was that the year before Palmer? Palmer was still there, right?
Yeah, Palmer was still there. Palmer was still there, technically speaking, the year that Dalton got drafted, that then they traded him.
Oh, okay, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he started his career, not many people know, he started his career with the Rams.
I actually didn't know that until now. Yeah. So, thanks for dropping that information.
Yeah, played 4 games with the Rams. Not very great numbers, only 777 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So not very pretty numbers. Didn't play the next 2 years. 1 year with St. Louis and then Cincinnati. And then every year since 2008, he's played in at least 1 game. His career high being 16 3 times. His career low being 10 with the Bills. 10 games in 2009. But we won't dwell on this too much. The point is, this man needs to sign that deal. He needs to get back with the Jets. Point blank.
And the Jets need him back right now.
I think that's their best option. But we were telling you a little earlier, so we had to stop the show a little abruptly there on one of our breaks for some fun news we got from our boss. Is thanks to you listeners, we are top 15
on iTunes.
Yes. in is it sports?
Sports, yeah.
Sports podcast.
I think it's sports and recreation.
Yeah.
I think that's how they categorize it.
Recreation.
Recreation?
Not recreation. This isn't Frankenstein. But
thanks for correcting me on there.
You're welcome.
All right. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys for making us in the top 15. That means so much.
Yeah, I mean, I texted my brother about it, and we are, and this is nothing against anybody that we are ahead of on this list. Guys like Bomani Jones and Buster Olney, Dan Lebitard, the podcast His and Hers. These are people that I've looked up to and listened to on my own time.
From Yahoo Sports, who is a huge. He's like the NBA's Adam Schefter.
Yeah,
dude,
It's really awesome, and we owe it to you guys.
We're just behind Dan Patrick too, which is kind of surreal.
Dan freaking Patrick.
Yeah, these are guys that are in the business for like we actually looked up to.
Yeah, I learned a lot from these people. Yeah. So I'm not going to try to geek out too much. We just want to say thank you guys for making this possible for us. And as always, here at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, we want to thank you again for listening. You can check us out on iTunes, as it sounds like so many of you guys are. Find us on Twitter at the GSMC_podcast football, and at Golden State Media Concepts, our website, GSMCpodcast.com, as well as Facebook at the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you guys so much for listening. As always, I'm Alex.
And I'm Jeremiah.
And we will see you guys next time.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Flippity flip.